Okay, let's do an overlap video. We'll talk a little bit about the new shop as well as a little bit about shaper work. As many of you know, I'm building a new timber framed woodworking shop and I'm documenting it here on my YouTube channel. And unless we run into another problem, it'll be going up this year. There's going to be a lot of millwork associated with this building as well as finishing the last building we put up a couple of years ago, but especially tongue and groove. I have a ton of tongue and groove to make. My first floor where all the heavy machines are going to be is going to be a solid 1-inch tongue and groove. The second floor of both buildings is going to be nominal 2-inch tongue and groove. The ceilings will be tongue and groove, V-groove style, and my overhangs all the way around the woodworking shop are going to be huge. And when you look up at the underside of the soffits, they'll have tongue and groove of some description there as well. Now I have a number of different options for making tongue and groove. I've got carbide insert tooling sets. I've got some old school braze carbide sets that I don't use anymore because they're a nightmare to set up. I've got all kinds of different options for high-speed steel knives in limiter heads. But what I've decided to do is make a lot of it spline and groove. This is where you machine a groove in both edges and use an accurately machined spline to connect the two adjacent boards. This is actually a more attractive joint in my opinion, where you can see it, such as, where a loft meets a cathedral section or other areas like that. It means you don't have to hide the ends because you can use it as kind of a decorative feature or a point of interest if desired. So though this may seem like a simpler joint for large and wide splines where the groove is very deep, the tooling options that allow kind of the removal of the entire edge while making that deep groove, the tooling options become fewer and more expensive, which I don't want for this kind of rough work. So if you're interested in how a shaper can joint an edge straight for you, as well as bring your stock down to final width and machine a profile for you all at once, all in the same pass, just put a comment down below and we'll do that in another video. Now, making the splines is really basic woodworking. Machining the grooves is actually fairly straightforward shaper work too. And I've got a couple of adjustable groovers that will do the job. Both of these are more than suitable for any spline and groove scenario I'll be faced with in my work. But I decided to go a different route when I added up the number of linear feet of machining that I'll be required to do for the two buildings. And that's a little bit over 8,000 linear feet in air-dried eastern white pine like this. Now, eastern white pine is a lovely material to work with, but it almost always leaves you with a little bit of pitch buildup on your tooling. So what I picked up was this much simpler fixed width groover, also from Whitehill Spindle Tools. This is a much simpler, less expensive cutter block that will be a lot easier to clean the pine pitch off of than these multi-part adjustable groovers. Also, since it's a less expensive cutter block, if the worst happens during my giant marathon milling session, it will be a less expensive block to replace. Also, because it's a one piece, it's a lot easier to bush it out and use on my radial arm saw, which only has a 1-inch arbor if I want to. Now these come in a huge variety of diameters and thicknesses, but this one will more than do the job for me for this work. And if I want to, I can get another one, stack them together and use them on my small machine for doing tendons up to almost 2 inches long. So let's get this in the machine, do a sampler run, and we'll see how it looks. With a simple cutter block like this, the setup is also very simple. All you need to do is set the spindle height and fence, and you're good to go. Whitehill has many different thicknesses available for these blocks, and I just picked the one that was closest to about 1/3 of the material thickness that I'll be using. Plus or minus a little bit will never make a difference. My small machine had no problem with this cut, and the results were perfect, with no tear out or irregularities to deal with. I originally thought I would need to chamfer the spline, but the inside corners of the grooves are so clean I can skip that step, which is nice. I'm very happy with the results, and using up some walnut or cherry scraps for the splines will present a really nice contrast. Thank you for watching.